Um, Can you hear me? Okay. So it's working. Apologize. This was a spur of the moment thing. Okay. So we have two. Excellent. Well, very nice to meet you. Unfortunately, in this setup, you're not really allowed to speak, so you don't really have a option to speak. You can only ask questions. Hold on. Let me. I have a tool here. This is the chat that I can. I'm not sharing my screen. Okay, so I need to screen share. Do I really need to screen share? Yes, I need to screen share. Chrome tab window, entire screen. Okay, entire screen. Oh no, but now you don't have to. You don't have to use your real names. You can use alias in the chat because it's recorded. It's up to you. If you don't mind, I don't care. But if you do have some kind of a protected status and you don't want this to go recorded on the internet, please feel free to use alias. So you can call yourself like Mick Jagger or I don't know, Janis Joplin or something. But yeah, let's start with questions. Do you have any questions? I'm still trying to find a way how I can screen share. Mm, First, let me test something. So I'm gonna open a new browser. I'm gonna screen share in the next. I'm gonna screen share, and then I'm gonna ask you in the messages to confirm if you can see the what I'm trying to show you or still my face. So here we are, screen sharing, entire screen. I'm sharing the entire screen. Now, just tell me if you can see the BBC. This is a public web page. Let me know in the chat portal if you can see BBC. Yes, you can see BBC. Excellent. So now let's see if you can see something else. Let's see what else. CoinMarketCap. Oh, oh, this is crazy. 88,000. Bitcoin has gone down to 88,000. I didn't even know that. Okay, let me know. Can you see? Yes, I see it too. Okay, the first question. I have the question. I'm not going to show. I have a question about judging which papers are trustworthy on archive. Okay, let's open archive. Now, please confirm that the screen is clear, that you can see archive now, and that you're not seeing anything confusing like this. So this screen over here is very confusing. Uh, that's the problem. Can you confirm when I flip and I change to this archive? Can you confirm that you've seen it? And now that it's back to the messy screen. Yes, it's fine. Okay. So the question was, which journal papers on archive are good? Um, it's a question that's it's good to answer this question in a virtual coffee room and not to answer formally. Because archive by default is a preprint server. Archive, it's not a journal paper. So you should be extracting knowledge from places like the Web of Science, Scopus. Those are the official data repositories for academic journal papers. But we work in computer science, we don't work in different field. And the problem with computer science is that many of the papers, like this paper here, this is the original paper for the transformer architecture written by Google researchers. This is only published on archive. So if there's like a groundbreaking paper that it's published on Archive, then use that. But you shouldn't be using Archive for other things because you're opening yourself to criticism. And remember, your examiners can have their own opinions, and you don't want to position yourself in a vulnerable stage where they can criticize your work. That's basically the answer. Archive, it's a preprint server. It's not a journal paper. But if the journal is, so let's say if you go to Google Score, you go to Google Score, and no thanks. And if you type this, you're going to see that it's been cited by 168,000 people. 186,000 people have cited this paper. Where was it actually published? So here you see proceedings of, this is the important part. So this paper is not actually just on Archive, as we said originally. How do I delete this? Okay. So if we go to the actual paper, this is a very famous conference. So that is a very famous conference in our field. Let's see if I can find the actual conference. No, why not? Okay. But if you're citing this, how the citation is going to look? I don't have username. Metadata. I don't want the metadata. Paper. Okay, so this is the paper, and that's the conference. Proceedings on your conference. This conference, it's one of the most famous conferences. If there is like 10 academic conferences, this is going to be in the top 10. If there's like 10 industry or government academia integrated conferences, you're going to have DEF CON, Black Hat, RSA. If you have purely academic conferences, this is the one. But actually, the researchers were from Google, so I don't know if that statement is correct. It's just that this conference is famous for academic work. So it would be a very, a solid reference if you're referring to this. But if you just go to Archive and you find loads of papers that they are supporting your point of view, supporting things that you want to say, remember that this is not a peer-reviewed journal. Archive is a preprint. So what's a preprint? Hold on, let me just check if there's a further up question. So what did you say the best sources where you mentioned two websites? Okay, two websites. A web of science for collection. That's the first one. And they have a database. For some reason, they make it a little bit difficult to find the database. You have to click, but this is how the database is going to look once you manage to log in. Why is the Web of Science preferred option? Because they have selected all the credible journals and conferences. So it has like 250 research areas that they're interconnected. It's a good tool to analyze. Just trying to find, okay. So it has 22,000 peer-reviewed journal indexed. It covers most of the subjects. So it has 254 subjects. It has 95 million records and 2.3 billion cited references. So Web of Science is the first one, probably the one that you should use the most because it has a selection process. So it doesn't add everything. If you go to Google Scholar, for example, um, Google Scholar, Go to Google Scholar here. You type something like AI security, and let's see, some of the content comes from credible sources. So that's a conference, that's a conference, that's a journal paper, it's a journal paper. But if you scroll down, you're gonna find sometimes, so that's archive, that's a preprint. Preprints are not included in the Web of Science. So here in the Web of Science, there's no preprints unless it's been published on a conference like this one. So we said that the archive is a preprint, but this is where this is their method for making it publicly available, open access, so you can reuse it. But actually, the paper was also published on this conference. So this is the actual paper. You can see that they're from Google, Google Brain, Google Brain, Google Research, Google Research. So Google actually created this. Well, not only Google, you have University of Toronto as well, but Google created the first transformer model. So that's the first source, Web of Science. Why? Because it has a selection mechanism that it excludes some of the non-credible sources, but it's not that selective. It has 22,000 peer-reviewed journals that they're indexed cover to cover. 22,000. That's a lot of journals being indexed. So if one journal doesn't fit in those 22,000, might not be a credible journal. Maybe somebody created a journal in the basement and, or I don't know. Uh, so that's comparison to Google Scholar. This is Google Scholar. If you use Google Scholar, then make sure that the sources are credible. So as you can see, that's a conference over there. That's a journal paper. That's Springer. It's a journal paper. Make sure it's not something abstract. Second was Scopus. Scopus. And this is Scopus. Scopus, they have their own database. So you can use Scopus for academic literature. Most people prefer Google Scholar because it's the easiest to use, it's fastest, and it's free. With Scopus, sometimes you have to register, and to get the full access, you need to sign in with your university login. Web of Science, you definitely need to use the university login because they have a subscription payment service. Google Scholar is free, and that's why it's most popular. Let's see, more questions. If the papers take a long time to get peer reviewed, isn't it difficult to find papers on the newest technologies such as AI security? Yes, yes, but it's not going to be peer reviewed. Um, yeah, I'm trying to find a diplomatic answer to this. Um, the three of us now, we can sit down and we can write a paper. The three of us, we can open ChatGPT and say, write me a paper about landing to the moon. And then we're gonna write a paper about landing to the moon. ChatGPT is quite good at doing that kind of work. So let's see. And ChatGPT is gonna write this. So the three of us can, write a paper on how we can land on the moon. And then we can submit it to a preprint server. We can publish it as a, news article, but it's not going to be peer reviewed. It might say exactly what you wanted to say. It might say, so if you're trying to find a narrative about humans can land on the moon, then yeah, definitely we can write that paper, we can submit it, and you see how quickly that's going to happen. But if you want to write that paper and land on the moon, um, this needs to be peer reviewed. So let's go ahead and find this one. What do we need to know about land on the moon? This is in Science. Science is a very credible source, but actually this is not a journal paper. This is opinion article. Let's see if this is a journal paper or an yeah, this is a comment. So you can do things like this. But if you go and look for an actual journal paper with the technical aspects on how humans can land on the moon, China lands on the moon, okay. Land is mine. Land on the moon. Land art. You see, it gets a little bit more difficult now. So you need optimal soft landing control for moon lander. Um, you need to find the specific topic that you're resolving. So here you can see that they have these mathematical equations. They have to prove that they can land on the moon. They have these specifics, and this is peer reviewed by two independent technical reviewers. It needs to be sent to a reviewer in an unknown institution. They need to identify them. They don't know each other. One can be in Canada, another one in Australia, one can be in Oxford, another one in Cambridge. They don't know each other. The journal is going to pick them, and then both of those would have to send the feedback to the editor. Both of those would have to agree that this is credible. How is that different than this? Well, here, anybody can do this. Any schmuck can just go and write a paper. But if it's not peer reviewed, see them. That's maybe that's just false assumptions. So I hope this makes sense why you're expected to include accredited journal papers. But let me answer your question a little bit differently now. Academic work, it's never about something that needs to happen tomorrow. Academic work needs to be written in a style that it can withstand the test of time. So whatever you're writing, in 10 years' time, it still needs to be relevant. And if the thing that is happening today is the only thing that is interesting to you, well, this is the stage where many people would take their knives and start sharpening them up against me, because many people are of the opposing conviction. But you don't know who is going to review your work. Traditionally, this is the kind of content that is expected. This is the kind of so these mathematical equations, these formulas, they're not going to change. Not tomorrow, not in 5 years' time. Quite often, people go back and find a paper from 1960s, and they read these formulas and they come up with something that's new. They read that. So if you're writing something that is very topical today, for the type of program that I teach on, the professional master's program, they're giving people lots of leeway. They're saying you can do something that is very interesting for your work today. Yes, that is acceptable, but that's not how academic papers are traditionally written. Academic work needs to withstand the test of time, and that is something that you need to consider. If something is really quick, is it because it's, state of the art, like this is state of the art? And you type, this is the result, this paper is the reason why ChatGPT exists. So are you reviewing papers like that one that have discovered something really new and groundbreaking, or are you reading articles that they're produced to support a narrative that you want to see? That maybe you want humans to land on the moon. So that is how you differentiate. Is it groundbreaking? Is it a new discovery? Is it something that is going to change the world? Or is it just something that supports your point of view? Let's see if there's a follow-up question. Yes, it takes to be more careful. Your mic is lagging on my side. Does anyone else have the same issue? I'm actually using AirPods. So that shouldn't, maybe, because I just woke up, I haven't even drank my coffee yet. Maybe my voice is lagging. So, yes, more questions, please, because otherwise I'm going to expand into something abstract that might not be relevant. So, what other questions do you have? I'm going to close this. So far, Web of Science, Scopus. Those are the two sources that you should consult. Google, yes. Archive, yes. But you should be looking at credible sources. There's no more questions. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to talk a little bit about a few other things. And I think it's been helpful so far. Thank you. I'm going to talk a little bit more, and then I'm going to stop because it's been 20 minutes already. Time flies. I'm going to try to make it up to half an hour. Um, I still have trouble hearing you well. It keeps cutting off. It shouldn't. I'm using AirPods. Next time I can use a microphone, but the AirPods, they usually work much better. Hold on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not using webcam. I don't know. This is experimental. It's the first time I do this kind of recording. I've never done it before. But I wanted to start something that we can do on regular weekly basis so people can join. And not many people can actually join. Many people are busy. So maybe they can watch this at their own free time. So yeah, next time I'm going to use the microphone. Now we only have like 9 minutes left. I don't want to go to the other room and look for the microphone. So I'm going to talk for 2 or 3 minutes until somebody can come up with a question about what is a good literature review. For this, I'm gonna I'm con- or I'm contradicting myself now. I say use Scopus and Web of Science, but I use Google Scholar. Um, literature review. But actually, for what I'm going to show you, it doesn't really make much difference. So here I went to Google Scholar. I typed literature review, which is a topic that many people have written. And how am I selecting which one to open? I look at those citations. If it's cited by a low number of people, I'm not going to open it. Then second selection process, I'm trying to find it from a journal paper. So you see this one is cited by 5,000 people and it's from Elsevier. So it's a journal paper. I'm going to open this one to use it as example of how a good literature review should look like. And many people would have different opinions, but you cannot contradict this. This is Elsevier. It's a credible journal. Information in software technology. It's a topic that we work on, so it's a software related. So nobody can come and say, "Oh, yes, but literature review is not related to IT. Literature review is only related to, I don't know, humanities and art." No, we do literature reviews as well. And if somebody is trying to tell you the opposite, he doesn't know. He's just not very good at his job. So what is the difference? Let's analyze this paper. Let me first check if there's more questions. Okay, taking a long time. So can hear you fine, all good. So okay, so LSL, please check your. Do you have some recommendations with the newest development in AI security from credible sources beside the two websites you mentioned? Yeah, I do. I have many, but that's always a good starting point. So before you expand somewhere else, start with those two. And here I'm going to show you how to structure. This is if you follow the pattern of a journal paper, remember one thing: to have the highest mark on your student dissertation, you need to publish. You need to submit work that is of publishable material. I repeat, criteria across universities can be sometimes different. I work for Oxford now. Before Oxford, I was in Cambridge. Before Cambridge, hold on, I'm gonna open my LinkedIn. Please add me if you haven't added me yet. So here you would find me, and you can see how many institutions have changed. So I'm in computer science now. This is only recent for the last year. Before I was in the Department of Engineering Science. Before that I was in Cambridge. Before that I was in Imperial. University of Wales, yada, yada, yada. So you see, people change institutions, and you're going to find very opinionated professors, very opinionated. Ego, it's something that is quite quite well known in academic institutions in every aspect of the world. But the higher the ranking of the institution, the higher the ego. The the higher the expectations, the higher the shield that you build. Um, and when somebody starts, imagine that somebody with very strong opinions, big ego, is analyzing your work. You don't want to leave any form of criticism. You need to work your literature review in a format that is of a publishable quality. Although that might not be listed in the specific program course that you are working on, that is the higher education authority in. It's not only in the UK. I was in MIT before. In US is the same. So this is how it should be done. But different people will come with different opinions that will contradict this, and they are wrong. Simple as. There's no point beating around the bush for an hour. If you're not doing your literature review in a format that is of a publishable quality, you're doing it wrong. Now, if you have a different opinion, I'm very sorry about that. If somebody is watching this stream in 10 years' time and thinking, yeah, you're wrong, well, yes, yeah, that's your opinion. Sir, you are wrong. Why is required to do this? So let's see why is it required. First is a standard approach. You list what is the method of the actual literature review that you're doing. You list the research questions here. You're saying what question are you trying to address? So this is question one. How much activity has been since yada yada yada. And then the literature review is guided by that research question that you're trying to address. Second thing to remember here is that when you're reviewing literature, because you already have a research question to address, you also have a research method that you're trying to find. If, for example, that research question is related to landing on the moon, but you're looking at how to build a shelter, well, clearly your methodology is going to be different because you're not looking at building the spaceship, you're building on how to live on the moon. So that research question defines what you're trying to answer. You're trying to answer how to get to the moon, or are you trying to answer how to survive on the moon? Then here in the table one is a list of journals that this person has used. And here is, you can see it's more specific. It's listing the actual journal, not the Scopus. So remember Scopus, and here we said in Web of Science that there's like 22,000 journals. In this specific literature review, this person already knows which journals would publish in his work. So the question that you're asking now is, how do I find more up to date, more recent? Um, in terms of AI security, there are very few journals that they publish in this area. So we can ask ChatGPT to tell us that. Tell me which uh, academic journals publish in the field of AI security. And I use ChatGPT as a Google search tool. You're not allowed to use generative AI in academic writing. You're not. Why? Because it hallucinates. Why? Because there's many reasons why. My reason that I'm going to give you is because it hallucinates and it's going to give you the wrong answers. So you have to check everything. I have to check if this journal paper actually exists or if it's imaginary product of the generative AI. That is my reason. But remember that there are people who have been doing things in their own way for many, many years, and now this thing comes in and they don't want to change. So some people just believe that humans should be walking encyclopedias, that they need to memorize everything. So you're going to be a walking Wikipedia that knows everything. Um, and those people are going to die out because they're old and and their beliefs won't survive. even if they don't die out, that just doesn't hold place. That argument that you should be a walking encyclopedia. You are hired by a company based on what kind of solutions you can provide, not based on how much knowledge you accumulated about pointless topics. So here I know that this computers and security journal exists. Journal of AI Security. I know that it exists, and I actually know some of these papers. Journal of Cybersecurity is an Oxford-based journal. There's not much about AI security. So here you need to find specific, very specific journals on AI security. And that might be Journal of AI Security. Let's find the Journal of AI Security. There is no such journal of AI security. There's a journal of information security. Where is the journal of AI security? There is no journal of AI security. You see how generative AI hallucinates? It tells you what you want to hear. I asked, well, tell me which journal of them published in the field of AI security, and it gave me a paper, a journal that does not exist. At least I think it does not exist. Let's check again. I have never heard about Journal of AI Security. It's a good topic. We need to create a journal of AI security, but no, there is no journal of AI security. So if you're writing something and you're using GPT generated answers and you're saying, I have extracted my papers from the journal, let's say here you write this table, you see how it's listing the actual journals, and let's say you create this table with ChatGPT, and you say that uh, you extracted your knowledge from the Journal of AI Security. Well, there's no such journal. It does not exist. Instantly, fail. You see why ChatGPT is problematic. It's not because um, you should not use it, but it's not of a good quality enough for you to use it. That's my argument. I think the prohibition that universities have on generative AI is very restrictive, and students are going to use it. This is called the shadow AI. So the shadow AI risk is when everybody's using it and you're not allowed to use it. That creates different types of risk. But let's finish summarizing this paper. Then I'm going to check if you have any questions, and we're going to end. So this paper that we selected had more than 5,000 citations. It's from a credible journal. It's on a related topic that we teach, information and software technology. So here they have a table of which journals specifically they have extracted the knowledge from, and some conferences. So if you want conferences, a place where you can find information quicker, because conferences, you get the peer review on the actual, well, it's a little bit quicker, but it's not as quick as, I know what you mean. It's not that quick. So here it's listing the data collection sources, how it was done. So you can use this. Let me include this in the chat. So that's, why is it not sending it? Oh, I need to, I have a limit of how many characters I can use in the chat. So unfortunately, I cannot send you that. Uh, I'm gonna have to send you. I cannot send you the direct link because it has too many characters and the messages won't allow it. So I'm sending you the actual title, the list of authors, but actually how you find it the easiest is with this. Where is it now? This. So that is the actual link. Instead of copying it from here, you can copy it from DOI is the link. So I'm gonna send this. This is the paper that we're gonna analyze now. And let's look what this how you should structure your literature review chapter. In this table here, you see it has a systematic table, a second systematic table. The first one was listing which journals he used, then he explained the steps and yada yada yada. Second table here is listing the authors, the date, the topic type, the topic area, the article type, practitioner guidelines. If I was building this table, I would write it differently. Okay, the author is important because you need to list the source. And this author, if you're including that one, since you're using this person is using IEEE referencing format, that one, do you really need to have the name? No, because the name, that's a hardware style of referencing. If I was doing this, I wouldn't even include the author. I would say, I would include the reference somewhere, like here. Instead of ID, I would include the reference that over there. So this would be, I would save time on creating those IDs. I would save time on listing the author. I would save time on the date. I don't need to have the date because the date, remember, is included in the reference. So that is not necessary. This second line is not necessary. This list here, this little number, that needs to go here in the reference. The topic type, that's important because you need to list what type of topic, but you can see here, every topic type is the same. Technology, evaluation, education, yada, 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 yada. So you don't, if it's the same, you don't have to do that. The topic area, however, is slightly different. So this is the first category that is important. This is not important either. The topic area. If I was creating this table, how do I make it better? I would put those numbers over there. I would delete the authors, delete the year, delete the topic type, keep the topic area. Article type, why is it related? You see, they're all kind of the same. So that is not interesting or related. Reference. Reference. We don't need to have this is explaining what type of reference it is. Since you have included the reference here, that is not related either. Does it include practitioner guidelines? Yes, this is related. If that is part of your research question. Number of primary studies. This is actually the most related. So that is very important. It's listing how many primary studies are included. So you can analyze those studies. This can be your secondary data because you can extract the studies. So this one paper has 1,485 primary studies. Primary means new data. So this one author, I wonder if that is Glasser and Strauss, grounded theory. No, something else. So this is very important. So you would keep those two. And a third category, so you have one here, one second, you have the third. Three categories already. Everything else here is not needed. That is all crap. Nobody needs that. So once you have selected your practitioner guidance and number of studies, there's a third category here that you need to include. And that is the research method that is used. So what this study, what type of research method they use? And why is it that important? Because the research methods needs to be the same as the research methods that you are applying. If this guy here has used a completely different research methodology than you are planning to use, it's not related to your work. This summary table needs to include authors. This is the reference here. So it needs to be include authors that are using the same research methodology like you are, but they have primary data because you're not going to be collecting primary data, and you're going to use that primary data to apply to your research methodology. You're going to combine these sources and come up with a new knowledge. So hopefully this makes sense. I'm going to talk about more in the future. This paper is really long and includes loads of information, but I think that's the key thing that you need to bring with you. The institution, how is that related to your research? It's not. Oh, is it country? Are you analyzing research by country? Then yes. Are you analyzing research by institution? Then maybe yes. If you're analyzing a type of specific software development, you need to find data and sources. So this is you're not going to have this acknowledgement. This is just purely me being interested who funded. If you work long enough in this area, you actually know those codes. Sometimes those codes, I see the code and I know which project they worked on. Kelly University conference at Kelly University. Um, yes, okay. So let's check if there's more questions. We have gone over 40 minutes, so I'm going to stop this in the next few seconds. Do you have recommendations on how to stay updated with the newest development in AI security from credible sources besides the two websites that you mentioned? Conference papers. So conference papers come up a little bit faster than in journal papers, but those are still listed in here in the sources that I mentioned. These credible conference papers are listed in Web of Sciences and in Scopus. Other sources that you need to find credible information would be NIST standards. So NIST standards on AI security. This is updated as fast as, oh, well, we wish this was updated as fast as we came up with knowledge. Actually, sometimes it takes even NIST, it takes sometimes a long period of time to adopt things, but this is fastest. If you look for something faster that is still reliable, you need to look at the NIST AI risk management framework. Depending on the countries that you are operating in, if you're operating in European Union, you're operating in China, in Asia, they have their own national institutes for standards and technology. So NIST is the US National Institute for Standards and Technology, but is also the best institute for standards and technology on AI security and cybersecurity. NIST basically has the post-quantum cryptography, post quantum standards that nobody else has developed yet. So they have gone through 10 years process to contact Lily Chen. So this is the person. Actually, if you contact them, they might respond. They're really good at that. So NIST has a whole list of post-quantum cryptography algorithms, actually four. Crystallis Kyber, yada, yada, yada. So they're lattice-based cryptography. Where are they? But they're going to be standardized. Anyway, first institution in the world that is going to standardize post-quantum cryptography. This is going to be the first country in the world. Standardization, maybe this one. First country in the world that is going to standardize. And here they have a whole list. Those were all candidate algorithms that they didn't get selected. So out of those candidate algorithms, they have gone through. This was 2017. So you see how long it has taken for this process. And if you're looking at the actual standards, I'm going to find them for you now. NIST finalist. Okay. Actually, Wikipedia, both of them. Three finalized. So this is as of August 2024. No, this is not a good place. Where is it? Oh, we have to go back to Wikipedia. They actually changed their names as well. So you see, they have gone through this 10 years process almost of selecting, then deciding on selecting. Even before you select an algorithm, before you open the competition, you have to make a decision. European Union is not even there yet. We don't even have a discussion on how to open a competition. So NIST opened the competition, and those were all candidates. Those were all candidates there. Many of them from the European Union, actually. And from those candidates, they have selected, they had a second round of selection. And how that second round worked is that they called companies like Google, Cisco, Amazon, like government, security agencies, and they asked them, can you implement these algorithms? Can you implement them? They're very secure, but can you use them? And if the actual answer was no, they're very difficult, they're secure, but they're very difficult, then they go out of the list and they have selected a second round of algorithms that they're secure enough. Secure enough, that's the word, not necessarily the best. So if you pick one from this list here, maybe it's more secure, but it's not practically applicable. And they went to the second round, and then finally they have gone through a third round of selecting algorithms. So this is round two. Round two. Crystal Skyber was the actual selection, so that's the one. that is selected, but always code and Crystallis Delitium is selected as well. Spinach is also selected as a post-quantum cryptography algorithms, but the name is different now because spinach, spinach doesn't sound good. So those are the finalists. Here you can see the finalists. Let's see the new names. I'm looking. Oh yeah, those are the new names. So Crystallis Kyber, it's now called renamed into ML-Chem, short for Module Lattice-Based Key Encapsulation Mechanism. Crystallis Dilithium is now MLDSA, short for Module Lattice-Based Digital Signature Algorithm. And Spinach is now SLH-DSA, short for Stateless Hash-Based Digital Signature Algorithm. So if you're looking for more a faster way to get this information from a credible source, NIST, but don't fall for this searching journals that they don't exist. Don't fall for preprints. Try to use credible sources because you're gonna compromise the quality of your work if you're using unreliable sources. And there's many unreliable sources. Okay, so there's no more questions. I'm gonna end the stream. Stop sharing. I'm gonna end the coffee session. I'm gonna go and make myself an actual coffee now, and I will try to schedule another one for next week. So hopefully, I will see some of you next week. Maybe more participants once we get the timings right. Okay. See you.